My name is Cohen Michael Ben Levi of the Hebrew family of Guyana. The aim of these dissertations is to cause the true house of Israel, who have been without knowledge of themselves for countless generations, and who are now being awakened by the God of the universe, to better serve our Creator. It is our hope that by reacquainting this awakening black nation with their laws and former history, it will hasten our return to our true identity, thereby acknowledging our ancient ancestors. This in turn will allow us to know our Father's God and prepare us to stand together to meet the terrible day of the Creator that He is now readying for all mankind. May He cause all your minds and hearts to understand.
Black Hebrew Israelites are described as a black nationalist hate group with militant overtones. They believe blacks are the true descendants of the biblical Israelites, and many of their sects are anti-white. Many here on the East Coast pretty familiar with the group who dress up in robes and preach their teachings on street corners. Israelites.
This is basically slanted. We don't know why they responded in the way they did. You just giving me one side of the story, so.
Okay. Is it okay to disparage other ethnicities in the black Israelite group?
Well, you keep calling it a group. Every nation
Religion.
has, it's not a religion, it's nationality.
Okay, is your nationality okay with disparaging other racial groups?
No, not at all.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you said that.
Yes.
Is there a problem right now with the black Israelites? Are they angry at something specific? What's the beef?
Well, from my perspective, we've been in captivity for 400 years. We've been denied our heritage, our land, what rightfully belongs to us as a people. We've been here for 400 years. We've had miseducation in regards to what belongs to us nationally or ethnically as servants to this country.
So what belongs to you specifically?
Specifically, what belongs to us is the land.
In America?
No.
In Israel?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you here are in America, and you want the land in Israel to be given back to you?
Absolutely.
Because you believe it's rightfully yours?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you probably have to fight with the Palestinians over that.
Well, it's a fight.
Because they think it's theirs too.
So a lot of people think it's theirs, but prophecy says the children of Israel will return to their land from the scattered places that we've been scattered.
Okay. Your group has been called a hate group?
Well, you keep saying my group. The children of Israel came over here in slave ships, and we're in churches, we're in mosques, we're in various religious doctrines that have been perpetrated on us as a captive slave body of people. And this process of awakening to know who we are, our roots are, has taken on many factions. And basically, they've been formulated into religious concepts where ethnically, nationally, we're descendants by seed, by heritage, by birth of the nation of Israel.
All right, so in general, not talking about Covington right now, but in general, do you have a problem with white Americans wearing Make America Great Again hats?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Well, that incident highlighted what the problem is with America today, because you have Native Americans who were speaking out in regards to what transpired with them. And what transpired with them? They were pushed on reservations, they lost their lands. Then you had the Israelite group, who we've been brought here by slavery, forced against our will, and given doctrines that don't even belong to us, and we've lost everything. And then you have the Christian school that was there, and they have a right to speak as well.
Okay. I do think some of your members are giving you guys a bad name. Let's just watch some recordings of some of the language that you guys have been using. Roll the tape.
That's right. Y'all are going into slavery for enslaving so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Anytime anybody hears about the black Israelites, that's what they think of. Now, I know you're saying that, they don't speak for everybody, but they actually do.
It's my pleasure to respond to the footage that we've just seen with my brother, Amore Catriel, responding to the fact that all Israelites are not of the image that has been shown in the footage. And it seems to be the practice of the media to try to discredit Israelites around the world by always portraying us in the images of thugs or gangs or people of violence. And this is just not the case. First of all, we need to realize that Israelites have been a people that have existed for hundreds of years, even thousands of years. For hundreds of years, the Beta Yisrael in the Gondar district of Ethiopia have lived there, and they have never been viewed as or portrayed as thugs or gangsters or anything of the such. In fact, they have an intact priesthood that is going back thousands of years to the time of King David and King Solomon. You also have the community of Israelites under the late Ben-Ami that went into the land of Israel, and now thousands of them reside in the land of Israel, and they've lived there for over 50 years. They are part of the fabric of the society. Many of the youth even serve in the military in the land of Israel, have been there for 50 years. Our youth there, even their children and grandchildren, speak Hebrew fluently, and they've lived in the land of Israel. Never do we hear of them being portrayed as thugs or gangsters or people of violence. They are there in the land, and they live there amongst the Israelis. They go to school in Israel. They speak Hebrew, as I've said. They're entertaining. They've represented the country of Israel going around the world, again, in the area of entertainment and in other fields, sports as well. That's not the image that's shown. What about the Abiyadea that's in Uganda? They too have known that they're Israelites, and they're there. Anyone can investigate. They're not of the image of those on 25th Street or anywhere in the states that might be on the corners. And again, some of those young men that are there, they're there because they're like many of the young people, frustrated of the injustices, and so they're expressing it. But that's not perhaps the best way to do it. But don't try to label all Israelites. What about the Israelites that are in the Caribbean, all in Jamaica or in Guyana, communities that, again, keep the Torah, way of life. They also keep Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They study the Hebrew language. They practice and they wear their culture and dress, and they have divine dress styles, even lauded by the Israeli government. They take tours into Dimona every day, displaying and showing other Europeans that visit the Holy Land, the community of Israelites that are living there, marveling at this very interesting sight. This is something that many black people don't want to acknowledge, but that's one of the things that Jewish people say to us all the time. Very interesting. Do your mother know that she's an Israelite? Yes, she does. Very interesting. Does your father know? Yes, very interesting. It's always very interesting to them, but the world doesn't know that, hey, they know that we're not all thugs. They know that we're living right there in Israel with them as citizens of integrity, men and women of virtue. And let's make this clear. What nationality, what nation of people, what ethnic group don't have thieves, liars, murderers? So when we speak about being Israelites, we're not a religion. We're just like any other people on earth. We have people of integrity, we have people of high esteem, and we also have low esteem and criminals, just like in any other European country or any other African, Asiatic country, South American country. So let's not label Israelites as a people by the acts of a few people. That's unfair to others. It's unfair to us as well. So when you interview Israelites, that you see them in the street, just remember, that's only one particular group of people. It's not a label, and don't paint the whole nation of Israel with that brush. It's unfair to us, just as it would be unfair to any other nation of people. Thank you very much.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
My name is Cohen Mikael Ben Levi of the Hebrew family of Guyana. The aim of these dissertations is to cause the true house of Israel, who have been without knowledge of themselves for countless generations, and who are now being awakened by the God of the universe, to better serve our Creator. It is our hope that by reacquainting this awakening black nation with their laws and former history, it will hasten our return to our true identity, thereby acknowledging our ancient ancestors. This in turn will allow us to know our Father's God and prepare us to stand together to meet the terrible day of the Creator that He is now readying for all mankind. May He cause all your minds and hearts to understand. Shalom Aleichem. Kois Tov Lakim. May the Holy One of Israel bless all of you. May He be with those, and I'm reminded of my mother, Ima Yedida. Please keep her and all of our elders in your prayers and our people. Again, may Yah bless all of you in this holy season. In the month of Itanim, we have more holy days herein than in any other day. It makes even my topic relevant and timely because it's all about the law, and keeping the holy days is all about keeping the laws. And so many of us now have been awakened and reacquainted with the seasons that our ancestors observed, such as Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Weeks recorded in every Bible, the Yom Teruah, the day of the blowing of the horn, on the first day in the 7th month. On the 10th day, beginning at the 9th day at even, we are to abstain from food and drink for 24 hours, keeping the Day of Atonement granted to us once in a year, to go before our Creator and afflict our souls, be sorrowful, deeply sorrowful in our spirits for the wrong that we have done. And we come to the feast of Chag Sukkot, the feast of tabernacles of booths. Many people who are non-Israelites, and I've met them in the islands, they know of the holy days, and that was their process of redemption. Little by little, more knowledge is coming and has come to many of those in remote places of the earth. Hunters and fishermen are going around the world, and messengers, and sometimes DCB may not think of themselves as hunting and fishing, but I've gone to countries in other continents and they've said, we listen to DCB. And they're listening to all these different programs. And so again, in this very way, the Most High is spreading his word and shining that light, even from the lands of our captivity, which is part of the process of redemption. I'm going to continue today with the second part of a series, and this part is the second part in the law, but there are three major parts. The first, as you recall, was to think about what was the greatest book of all time. It's known in the basketball world, the greatest one of all time. In boxing, they call Muhammad Ali the greatest of all time, and others differ. And likewise, Julius Erving and Shaq and so many others, Chamberlain, are considered in that conversation who is the greatest of all time on the basketball court. I'm telling you, and I've said, the greatest one of all time is the one who's here for all time. That's the Creator. And all the other creations that he make, whether it's a basketball player or boxer or baseball player, they're to the glory of Yah. And their greatness is nothing but what the Creator gave them and made them and caused them to become, just like you and I. The second of this series of contemplation, reasoning, is the law. It's a question. Is the law of the Creator done away with or abolished? That's the topic we're dealing with today, following up on part one. And we have another part on the law following this session. In fact, I was just told that Cohen, we have to cut the video on this one because with your commentary, we know it's not going to be enough time, so we'll have to add that to the next series. Fine, wonderful. I just want to get it all in. It don't matter how much time it takes. The truth must be told. And finally, when I finish this series or this section of the series, I will go into proving, just like I'm proving that the law is not done away with. You don't have to accept the proof, but it's the facts and it's the proof. So is the Torah. The first 5 books of the Bible is the greatest book of all times. It's the book given to Moses by the Creator and Maker of heaven and earth. No one is wiser. I'll take the challenge that anyone who wants to say someone is greater and mightier than the Holy One of Israel, I accept that challenge in a humble discussion. If you don't submit, the Muslims have submitted. Everybody's submitting to the Maker of heaven and earth. I love that phrase that my brothers in Islam use. You must submit before the Creator. Everyone must submit to his power, to his authority. That is why the law is not done away with, because this law of the Creator is an eternal law. And finally, we will show that the people of Israel are people that look like me and you. And we know ourselves, and we're all around the world. We're live, vibrant, and striving, and singing, and praising. And we just have to start doing more. We have been doing, but we have a lot more to do to fulfill our portion given to us by the Creator in choosing us as a people. Before I put on the video, I want to put these reasoning thoughts in your mind because they help to lay the foundation for reasoning and understanding. The Torah is the most important personal possession of lovers of Yah, the Creator, and righteousness. If you love Yah and the Creator, the Torah, the laws that He gave, is the most important possession that you can have because it guides you to righteousness. The Torah sets forth the laws of Yah, sets forth the central moral concepts and the basic ethical principles of the Bible. Nowhere more will you find ethical, moral instructions and anywhere in the Bible than in the Torah. And so today I want to introduce the definition of these terms that are so important, these values, these ethical terms that come out of our teachings in the Torah. Ethics. Ethics is a system of ethics. Ethical moral character is conforming to moral standards, a standard set by the Creator. Moral character, that's what the world lacks today. We don't have the moral character which the Torah helps us to conform to and gives us these standards of morality that the world needs today. These ethics are a system or code of morals and of a particular group of people, because that's what ethics are. These ethics came to our people prior to colonial oppression. These were the principles and the morals and the standards that our ancestors lived by. And we broke these standards, and that's why we had a judgment of the Torah that sent us into captivity, into exile, into slavery among the nations. All of this is recorded in the Bible and in Deuteronomy in the mouth of the prophets. And so if you think about why we are here in this captivity, because we lost and refused to distinguish good from evil and right from wrong. That's what these values, these terms, to live morally correct, to understand that will come up. Then there's principles. You have to be a principled person. The Torah teaches you how to become one, a fundamental truth. That's what principles are. It's a fundamental truth. It's a law. It's doctrine. And this fundamental truth or doctrine is a force upon which others are based, other principles. It's a rule of conduct. There have to be rules of conduct for human beings, or we will always be fighting and killing one another. That's why you know you need the law, especially of right conduct. That's the conduct we're speaking about when we speak about the Torah and its ethics, the ethics of our forefathers. There are books like this, Biblical Ethics. A man read our Torah. His name is T.B. Maston, and he analyzed it and started documenting. Just like you and I already know, anything in this book, you're going to know about it because you read the Torah. But you have to understand it in a contemporary manner. How do you apply the law? The Torah is made for all time. You just have to adapt it right to that particular circumstance. As the principle of racial equality, that's what a value is. That's what you have to understand about correct conduct. The principle of racial equality goes against what is most people's thinking, because you know we're having a problem with racial equality on the planet. If a person knew the Torah, they wouldn't have that. It goes against that type of behavior, not knowing how to treat a stranger. The Torah says you must treat the stranger as the homeborn because it's only right. He's another human being and he's in your land and he's perhaps destitute in need. He doesn't need anyone to deal with him in a discrimination manner. He needs someone who's going to deal with him fairly. He's not among his own people. That's why Yah said you ought to know the heart of a stranger because you were strangers in America. I'm bringing it up to date. You ought to know what it's like living in a country like that and the way you're being treated. Yah said the same thing with Egypt. You were strangers there. You know what it's like to be classified as a second-class citizen, as 3/5 of a man. You lacking 2/5 because it takes 5 pieces to make that fifth a whole. You only got a little bit over the majority. You like a little more than a half a man or half a human being according to the United States Constitution. Things like integrity are all teachings of the Torah. The quality or state of being of sound moral principle. These terms overlap. Uprightness in your character, honesty, sincerity. That's what we need. You know our problem. We're not upright enough. You can't trust your own brother and sister. We got to become honest and sincere. Your word is your bond. That's what we're talking about. And we're discussing that, all of us online, but talk is cheap. Nobody wants to hear about how nice you are. They want to see it in your behavior. And so, virtue. Virtue is another principle of the Torah. It's general moral excellence, right action and thinking. You know it. Goodness of character. You're a kind person. Who wouldn't like you? Generosity, a great virtue of chastity. What do you mean chastity? You're faithful to your spouse. That's why it says, especially in a woman. You can't be loose in your marriage. It's not the way of righteousness, of a good character. Ordained. Everything that I've said has been appointed, set in order, decreed, enacted, established by the maker of heaven and earth. Without authority, nothing that I say about law means anything. There has to be an authority, someone who can back up these laws, commandments, instructions when you don't follow them. When we grew up, it was your mother and father, if you had one, or a grandmother sometimes, or a relative that chastised you when you were wrong. The Creator is the chastiser of everyone on the planet. He's the judge of the judges. And he just took a judge. And I respect her. I'm not saying it in any way. I'm just showing you the power of the Almighty. I know that that woman was wise enough to say to the whole world, for her to stand and be a judge, she had to stand for fairness and right. She fought for women's rights. She knew right and wrong. She had people come before her whom she judged. So I know she was a good woman. And Yah judged her. We all get judged. So you have to respect this authority. The fear of Yah is the beginning of wisdom. That's how you learn, when you're humble and acknowledge that he can take your life. He can make you blind, crippled, or crazy. He tells you that. Who maketh a man blind or dumb, seeing or hearing? It's the Creator. You should be thankful if you have these faculties about you. He was merciful and he blessed you. We've been led astray when they said and told us the law has been done away with and abolished. So again, today you're going to hear about public law. It's the body of rules which the government is directly involved. When you break a public law, The government puts you on trial. Not the state or the mayor or the city, the government, the highest power in the land. And in our Torah, today we're going to learn about public law because that's where it's at. It's in your Torah. It can be brought up to date. There's another type of law, private law, civil law. That includes rules that regulate the relationship among people. When you do something to a person, damage their property, that's why you told if you kindle a fire, and they're going to go into it in the tape, I'll go into it. So if you damage someone's property, you must make restitution. And you must feel in your heart that it's the right thing to do. I'm guilty of damaging your land with a fire that went out of control that I did not watch. I'm responsible. And I don't have to be told to make restitution. I'll give you the best out of my field because I burned up your crops. It's called righteousness, fairness, justice. So we got to have laws that when you go against the creator, now David and the king and the government, they take all that. Judah gonna deal with you. They find you cheating on the Shabbat and not doing it. You breaking the public laws. Private laws, they come before the courts as well. And then we have other sources of law, constitutional law. You can have international law. I'm not going into that, but the last but not least in the Torah is moral instruction. You got to follow the moral instruction, which is also law. And so I'm going to let the tape roll, and I'll come back after. We'll go in some precepts with our readers into the Torah precepts that help us to strengthen our point. Again, listen with a reasoning ear. The Constitution of Israel begins with what is known as the preamble to the Constitution. Many people erroneously call the book of Exodus the 20th chapter and those verses the Ten Commandments. However, as we will see, these are public law. It's a public law, and again, it speaks to the Creator's words. His words are the words of the Constitution. And it says in Exodus, the 20th chapter, verse 1, and God, who is Elohim, spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. He's introducing himself. People should ask themselves, is the God that you say God, the God that brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt? Because that's what he's doing. He's identifying himself. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Before who? The same one. If you switch him up, it's going to be confusing. You got to stick to the script. He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the maker of heaven and earth, the Almighty, the Most High. Yehovah. You put anybody else there, you've gone off track. You've gone astray. He says, thou shalt have no other gods, no other powers before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee, to you, to yourself, nor any manner of likeness. Don't make no image. Don't form nothing. Don't take a picture. Don't make a statue of anything that is in heaven. Don't call the sun God. Don't call the moon. Don't call them the stars. Don't try to make a replica of a picture or form, he says, or that is in the earth beneath, a tree, a cow, even a man, male or female, it says in Deuteronomy, or that is in the waters under the earth. There are only 3 realms that a human being can actually conceive. Heaven, we can look up and see it. The earth, We're walking on it. The seas and the rivers and the waters, we see them all around us. Outside of that, there's no other place you can think of and conceive. Because that's the world that you know of. And he's saying, in those areas, if you look up or look around the earth or look in the oceans, he said, don't make anything, I'm not any of that. I made those things. I'm the creator of it. I'm not the creature. It's consistently a thought. It doesn't change in the Holy Scriptures. That only changes in other writings. But because they say it, verily, verily, I say unto you, that don't mean God said it. When he speaks, he says, thus saith the Lord God. In Hebrew it says, Ko Amar Yahweh. He puts his name on it. That's why you have to study the Bible. Because if you went into the section on the Bible, you remember, it told you how important the Hebrew language is to understanding the Bible. It's the original tongue of it. Always the original is going to always be more authentic than artificial. You know, when we were coming up, people would come with their artificial leather coat on, and then somebody come with a genuine, because they had a word called genuine leather, and artificial leather. That artificial be all crushed up. When you look at that genuine leather, that's why the truth is genuine. Falsehood, artificial. You listen to people talk, you got to find out whether it's genuine, whether it's true or not. You can't just believe something because somebody tell you. Prove it. Investigate it. Search the matter out. The Creator says, thou shalt not bow down unto them, nor serve them. For I am your power, your God, and I'm jealous. I don't allow other people to take my place and take my credit and take my glory. I will visit the iniquity of people that do that unto the fathers, upon their children unto the third and fourth generation that hate me. You hating the Creator? He said, I'll deal with you. It's a public law. You can't hate nobody in Israel. That's why it was called a public law. Because David couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. You were violating the supreme law that given by the Creator himself, the authority that could enforce it. He's the one that had the power to enforce it in our nation. He didn't need he had judges and courts that they carried out capital punishment and yielded other punishments. But if man didn't do it, he even told Israel, if you, the Israelites, don't do it, then he said, I'll visit all of you, and the whole nation will pay. If you don't want to stop that one individual who's doing evil, to take that cancer out your midst, you're going to let it spread. That's what happened to us. When you don't destroy the evil in the midst of you, it spreads like a cancer. And showing mercy. Look how merciful he is. And let me say this, in one of the other presentations, in my haste, I switched it around. But I want to make it clear. The generation that is the generation that keeps his commandments, they're shown mercy to the 1,000th generation. And it's to the third and fourth generation that he deals with the iniquity upon the fathers and their children, to the third and fourth generation of them that hate him. And I looked at my own tape. Sometimes that happens as a speaker. You have a slip of tongue. But it's also important to say I made a mistake. And I do make mistakes. And I was taught by my teacher, when you make a mistake, don't be too ashamed to correct it. That's what it is. It's a mistake. All human beings make errors. You're flesh. The only one perfect is the Almighty, the Creator. That's why I like when I make a mistake. It lets me know, hey, I'm nothing. I'm just a little old man. And all men are nothing. I didn't say so. The Creator said it through the mouth of Isaiah. He said the nations are like a drop in a bucket. They're nothing to him. That's why they die and go and new nations come. They were so important they'd be here forever like he is. So we got to understand that truth is what the world needs today. The problem on the planet is that this truth has been suppressed. Why haven't you heard it? You go to church. I went to church. I never heard in my young days that preacher ever say what I'm saying now. I had to leave church to find the truth. Believe it or not, it literally happened. One day I'll tell you how I found this truth. Leaving church. Exodus 27, another public law. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahweh, thy power, in vain, for Yahweh, thy power, will not hold him guiltless to take his name in vain. His name is important, and so that we have to understand his name. And so, again, we must keep his commandments, and one of the commandments is, do not disrespect the name of the Creator. And that's why his name is so important. And when you substitute his name with other names that are not the true name of the Creator, you are committing a sin and an abomination. Just like in the 20th chapter of Exodus and verse 7, we look at the Exodus, the 20th chapter and the 8th verse, another public law. And in that particular public law, we also know, and I don't want to continue reading all of them, it's not necessary, but it says, remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. That was a public law. You had to keep the Shabbat day holy. Another private law, a civil law, to show you these laws vary. Honor thy mother and thy father. You hit your mother, disrespect your father, that's an assault on a parent. That's a civil matter. It's going to come before the judges. Private laws, civil laws, thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal because you're stealing from another person. That's not government. That's not a what you call, again, a law that's dealing with the government, a public law. These are personal matters. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. It's called perjury in the court. We had a perjury law. Where did they get it from? They got it from us or we got it from them? God knows best. He's the most intelligent one. He gave all of these principles, and there's not a country on earth in Western society that don't have some of the laws of God in the Torah that was given to Moses in their constitution. That's why they call Judaic Christian societies. Judah, the king of Israel. There are certain words that they have corrupted them. Yehudah is the pure word that's spoken in the Bible. Judah is the English word. Jews is a word that it's nowhere in Hebrew. You can't even translate it. So people have been tricked to believe that when you hear Jews, it's synonymous with Judah in the Bible and Yehudah in the Hebrew tongue. It is not. And it can be proven. Just study Hebrew. Just go to any book and see the word Jew in Hebrew. If you change the J to a Y and leave the E and W, you have U. Because it can't be translated. Jew, you. You are the real Jew. But you're not a Jew, you're a Hebrew. I just broke it down for you. That has never been done in a forum like this. And I hope and pray that you understand, because it's the time for the truth. Listen on the internet to all the other Israelites that are breaking the Bible down. These were former slaves. Somebody should ask themselves in America, with all these Israelites all across America and all in Africa and Nigeria saying they're Hebrews, what happened to my Negro? You remember that statement that James Baldwin made? His book, I Am Not Your Negro. That's what we're saying here. Why can't you accept it? It's the truth. Even James Baldwin said it in the 60s or 50s. I was a young man. I heard him say it on television. I am not your Negro. Neither am I. Nor any other Israelites in America. In the Caribbean, we're not your Negro. We're Hebrew Israelites. We're the 12 tribes, Reuben, Shimon, Levi, Judah. You know them, Issachar, Gad, Benjamin. Come on, you know them. You forgot them? Ephraim and Manasseh, Benjamin. Come on. God, fortune. Yisachar, hired out by Leah when she gave the mandrakes. This is all stuff that, how do I know this? Let me tell you. You know. I didn't get it from Reverend Brown in church. I went to Mount Holly Baptist Church. Never heard any of this in my life. I had to leave church to find the truth. Yep, this is truth. Thou shalt not be a false witness. Don't lie on the stand before the judges. Don't covet. Don't desire something that don't belong to you. See, that's another thing. That's like a law of the heart now, or the law of the mind to tell you how to think. Our Constitution, the laws of God, places you, guides you. It guides you. In many societies, they have a sting to make people break the law. This is not a sting to make you, in other words, here, I'm going to come and give you some drugs and see if you're going to buy it or take it, and then when you do, I arrest you. I set you up for a crime. Could not happen in the laws of God. It even guides you. It's the opposite. It tries to make sure that you protect you against having a penalty. It instructs you in a way to teach you right from wrong and help you to make the right decision so that you don't receive a consequence that's negative, that's going to be harmful to you, to your family. Because when people get punished, even the criminal, the sinner, when he's punished, a family is affected. That's why God Almighty has this great love. If you understand the Torah, it was to try to keep us at peace with one another, in harmony, showing us that if we follow these rules, it'll help to solve disputes. Yes, you're going to have misunderstandings, but here's a manner to resolve them in a righteous manner so that people can accept the judgment because it was just and right, and your society goes on strong and builds and continues to exist. Kidnapping in Exodus, and we're past now those what we call the 10 Commandments. As I said, they were 10 words that led to 10 statements that set the foundation for all the other laws. In the 21st chapter, now you start getting into laws. You start reading Exodus and get into Leviticus. We can't cover them all in this forum, but that's where you see every book, Leviticus, packed with laws on who you can have a relationship with. It tells you all about, no aspect of your life is not covered. What you can eat, when you can have a woman and when you can't. You can't be with her when she's in her menstruation period. It's a law of God. Who would know it? He made the woman. He knows her cycle. He has the rules. He's the authority, only authority that can make a rule on a woman's body. How can another man just say, women, y'all cannot do anything for 7 days while you bleed? Women say, who are you? Tell me about my body. That's why in America today, you have a lot of women who are saying that the government can't take over my body and tell me about my children and how many I can have and all. In certain countries like China, 2 children. After that, you violate the law. You have more than 2 babies. At one time in China, no babies. That's a law in China. How many children you can have. That's a violation of human rights in the Torah. See, that's what I'm saying. Certain things other people could do, but in the Creator, no, you violate their human rights. With the Creator, you get human rights because He made all human beings. That's the understanding. It flows. It's a common sense. It's a truth that doesn't yield confusion because it's consistent with the word of the Most High. That's why everybody's confused today. Because you got somebody that came and said God didn't say, this was changed, that's done away with it, changed Shabbat day to Sunday, all this other thing. Paul comes up and says, kill and eat. No. God, no, you can't kill and eat anything. Say a prayer and that made the pig clean. You out of your mind. You got to change that whole anatomy If you read Leviticus, the 11th chapter, that tells you got to chew the cud, be wholly cloven footed, and split the hoof. They don't have that characteristic because those animals have a certain lifestyle. They're not going to be wild animals that are carnivorous and kill to eat. The animals that Yah ordained are vegetarian. And even if you go before the meat diet, which was a decline in human behavior, because after we sinned, the diet declined with us. The first diet in Genesis was the herbs, eating the fruit of the trees. That was it. The highest and the best diet. First diet given to man. Genesis, the Torah. That's why the Torah is important. The first diet of man is in the Torah, it's in the Genesis. And then you see what progresses as the historical times and eras move forward. A man in Exodus 22, 4-6, a civil law. If a man cause a field or a vineyard to be eaten, and shall let his beast go loose and it feed in another man's field, of the best of his field and of the best of his vineyard shall he make restitution. You have to make repayments, a civil law between people. So you can see that just like any other constitution, other people copy their constitution from God's constitution. Cohabitation judgments in 23. If a man delivers a neighbor money in 23rd chapter, verses 6-23, we're not going to go there. But it tells you, you seduce a girl or woman, and cohabitate inappropriately with a relationship, there are judgments for it all through the Bible. And in this category of civil laws, I want to end out with, if a man delivers unto his neighbor money or stuff, you loan somebody or give them some money to hold, and while they have it, somebody robs them and steal it. If it be found, he shall pay double. So in this case, that again, in the case of a thief and he steals something, there are different categories. One, if he stole it and broke into your house, as this is suggested, and later on, it'll let you know that if he comes in your house and he's killed in your house, no blood guiltiness for him. If the man escapes and it be found and he has the things that he's stolen, if you kill him in the marketplace the next day because you knew who it was, now we're going to put you on trial because it wasn't the process, the due process of the law. And so, therefore, you can't just be a vigilante and go kill a person because you know that they robbed you. Again, it says if he be found and the theft be found in his hand, meaning the thing that he stole, he pays double. If he sold it, he pays much more than that. You'll see, 4 or 5, depending whether it's an ass or an ox. And that's just in ancient times. Bringing it up to modern times, hey, you loan somebody some money, and again, someone robs them, you're held responsible. You have to make restitution. You can't say to the person, that was your money they stole. No. We have to, and that's why we have a lot of problems on earth. People are not fair in their civil matters. That's why you have to have civil law. We could not even existed without having rules like this. We were an agrarian society. Remember that statement that I made from some of the wise things in the book of Dictionary Encyclopedia on the thoughts of law? If you recall, there was a statement in there that let you know that these things here are true. That in other words, it has to be a process. And at the end of the matter, justice has to be determined. And when that justice is determined, then you find that people can live with it. And so here, all of these laws seek to make sure that the righteous are upheld and the wicked are condemned, and that they're given their punishments accordingly. For every matter of trespass. Anything, sheep, ox, if it's an agricultural country, and it also said that laws are like clothes. They said that, in other words, they are made to be worn and to fit the people they're made for. These laws were made for an agrarian people. That's why there are these types of laws. But there are moral laws in these laws that cover any people, because when it comes to inappropriate relationships, everybody have women and they can do that, but everybody may not be an agricultural society. It could be an industrial society, so they're going to have different types of laws. That's merely all that we're saying. That is it. The cause of both parties come before the Creator, the judges, and they look at the laws, the Torah, and they determine and they condemn the person that's wrong and uphold the person that's right. Every society does that. If a man delivers unto his neighbor anything, ox, ass, sheep, anything else, the same thing. And it tells you in this case that both of them be with the thing. Well, if you're with something that's stolen that you've given to another person, and you don't defend the person that has the gun to your head, and you allow him to steal even though it's your object and the other person have, neither one of you are guilty. You can't, again, escape the fact that that person had no more power to defend that thing that he borrowed from you than did or was given by you. And you were present there. Your car, they stole your car, and they hijacked it in the gas station. He was driving it. You say you got to buy me a car. You're wrong. Why didn't you attack the man with the gun? You were right there. Neither one of you can be held responsible. You can't hold him, says the Most High. That would be wrong. It's unjust. When you were right there, you saw what happened, and you didn't put your life on the line to save your own car. Don't blame him. Again, it lets us know if he cannot make proof that it was stolen, then you have to make restitution. Again, all of these laws are civil laws. We can move along. The 13th verse speak about borrowing, the same concept that we're making. The precepts of the Torah can apply to many different situations. Here in the 15th verse of the book of Exodus, chapter 22, it says, if a man entice a virgin that is engaged, betrothed, and lie with her, he shall surely pay a dowry for her to be his wife, because you had to buy a wife. You couldn't just lay with somebody's daughter and think that you were going to get away with it. That's why even in America, if you go check the South, there was a time they called it a shotgun wedding, because that's what this is talking about. You better not get in ancient days somebody's daughter pregnant. It could cause your life. Thou shalt not suffer a sorceress. One of those people in every day today, people call up in California to speak to Theola, who's going to read their hand and tell them all about their life and their future by their lines, or some card reader or foot reader or tea leaf reader. The Creator is saying, don't let them live. Persons like that in society will bring about treason. You turning and causing people to be disloyal to the Most High. You must be stopped, says the Most High himself. He tell all Israel, whosoever lieth with a beast. People say, well, come on, why would you put that in there? Because people do it. Bestiality. Yes, bestiality. People want to lie with an animal. And that's why God, who knew that they would before they even got started, even before he made them, in the unwritten law, he knew that when he made man that they would do it. He knows everything. So he put a law. After they got to develop societies, the unwritten law became written law called the Torah. And so now they're told, you cannot do that. You will be put to death. He that sacrifices, you make an offering to other gods. People are doing that in other religions. Israelites cannot do that. They'll be put to death. They can only offer according to the offering laws, because they are laws that tell you how to offer, who can offer, where you offer, and the amount of the offering, a drink offering, a meal offering, the amount for the particular animal that's going to be offered. It's in the Bible. Those were the laws or the clothes meant to fit the people of Israel. Their laws was made to fit their society as a people. Ye shall not afflict any widow or an orphan. That's even in certain societies. I bet you attack a widow or an orphan child don't have a father, somebody gonna take up for you. You can go to police and say, this man is bothering me and I don't have no husband and he did this, that, and the other. Because in our Torah, she better not come. If she pray to God, he said he'll take up her cause. Because he looks out for the widow, for the orphans, for the poor, for the needy. He's the God of the oppressed. If thou afflict them in any wise, for if they cry unto me, they pray unto me, he says, I will hear their cry. I listen to them people who are being taken advantage of on this earth. My wrath will wax hot, and I will kill you with a sword, he says. And your wives shall be widows, and your children shall be fathers. What goes around, he said, is going to come around to you. Do whatever you want. You don't want to do this? I have a judgment that will meet you, whether you choose life or death, whether you choose good or whether you choose evil. It has not been done away with, and it'll never be done away with. He's never going to abandon these principles. He's a righteous God, eternal, eternally righteous. And the soul that turneth unto ghosts, public law, he's saying again, don't you commit an act of treason against me. I am a jealous God. I don't even care if it's a familiar spirit. You don't have an object. You're just calling on somebody you knew that died. You want to look at their picture and worship that. Or you want to just keep the picture of them in your mind, mention them as dead among the living. He said, that ain't going to happen. I'm not going to allow you to give my glory to another. Don't call on dead people and their spirits like Saul did with Samuel. That's an example to let you know it's not permissible. It's a testimony. That's why he uses the word testimony as one of the types of things that refers to the law, because they are verifying and proving that that law is intact. He says further in Leviticus, another book, the Torah. I told you, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, all the places where the law is found. And so in Leviticus, the 20th chapter, and verse number 6, we begin looking at another set of laws that might fall under civil, under, again, public law. You determine. Now you're looking at the Torah a little deeper, and you're realizing and understanding, again, that relationship laws are rules of the Creator, and that is what we're talking about. As one can observe, the laws in various books. We've mentioned the book of Genesis. We've just observed laws and different kinds of laws in the book of Exodus. Now here we are looking at laws in Leviticus. And these laws are laws that tell you who you can cohabitate with. They haven't been done away with. Incest is still, in many countries, a violation of the law. But guess where the first violation of that particular behavior was condemned? In the Torah. You cannot have sex with your mother, your sister, your brother. Can't do it. And these are the laws that tell you. The nakedness of your father, having sex with your father or your mother, that you cannot do it. You cannot uncover their clothing to have a sexual intent and to engage in sexual behavior. He says, you shall not uncover her nakedness. You should not uncover the nakedness of your father. That's his wife, because it's letting you know that your father's nakedness is not his nakedness, his wife's. You can't bother his wife, whether you're his son, his daughter, or even another person. Any other person is not family, it's adultery, because it's going down first family members who you can have sex with. You can't have sex with your sister, your brother. You can't have sex with certain close grandfather having sex with his granddaughter, grandmother having sex with a grandson. God is saying that's gross, filthy. It's an abomination. It's not acceptable. And there are penalties in Exodus, the 20th chapter, for all of these acts. Most of them are death. Go and read it. Because judgments go with these laws. And we're being brief in this lengthy presentation. If you really want to go, and that's why Torah is taught all year long. You can't teach Torah in one Shabbat setting. That's why we study Torah from Shabbat to Shabbat. And the repetition, Bishanatan time, which is the study of the Torah over and over, is how it becomes a part of you. That's the way the Creator intended for us to study His Word. Meditate in it day and night. His Word is the law. And the appointed seasons, the 23rd chapter, are another set of laws. These are public laws. They have nothing to do with the private individual. This is now dealing with the government. The whole society has to obey the supreme intelligent, the Creator. Going back to another law, again, in Leviticus, again, the final one in the chapter we were viewing, in the 8th verse, we see that the nakedness of your father's wife is, again, his Isha, or his wife. Your father's nakedness is not him, but his wife. Now we see holy seasons. And so we know what are the holy seasons in Leviticus. I'll go over them very quickly. First one is the Shabbat day. You'll see that it's the law you cannot violate in Leviticus 23. Next one is Passover. Following Passover comes in the month of Aviv on the 14th day. On the 15th day is the Feast of Unleavened Bread for 7 days. Then there's a law that you must bend the counting of the Omer, or the days, which are the counting of 50 days till your next feast, which is known as the Feast of Shavuot, Chag Shavuot. Shalom Aleichem. We're going to cut off, and we have cut off this segment of our footage, and I would like us to go into some precepts. I'm going to ask our brother Yivareka Yahu, would he turn to Deuteronomy 33 and read verses 1 through 4, please, so I can add some support to these statements that have been made. Please do so quickly, Toda Rabbah. Once again, 33rd chapter of Deuteronomy, called Zorah Braka, and we're reading in verses 1 through 4. Toda.
And this is a blessing wherewith Moshe, the man of Elohim, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, Jehovah came from Sinai and rose from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came from the myriads holy. At his right hand was a fiery law unto them. Yea, he loveth the peoples, all his holy ones. They are in thy hand, and they sit down at thy feet, receiving of thy words. Moshe commanded us a law, an inheritance of the congregation of Yaakov.
Clear. That's what it was all about. That was the covenant. Moses declared in this glorious manner that they described him coming from the land of Edom, sort of spiritually in the clouds, thousands of angels coming and being before him. It was glorious to have that happen. We experienced that in Mount Sinai. And so that's why when we hear truth, because we're the only people that ever heard the Creator speak from heaven and did not die. So whenever you hear truth, you know it right away. That's why many of us, when we had gone to church and all these other places, seeking Rastafari, Christian, Muslim, everything else, some of us would even Hare Krishna, anything, because we were lost. And then you looked up, and here we are, we awakened, and we heard something that didn't sound like everything else we heard on Sunday morning and in church. Hey, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I've been waiting for. And you awakened, and it kept building. And that's what this is all about. I'm going to ask Yaakov to read the 34th chapter, verses 4 to 12. Again, we have time against us. Please begin reading quickly. Go done.
And Yahuwah said unto him, This is the land which I swore unto Abraham, and to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to sit it with thine eyes, to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. So Moses, the servant of Jehovah, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of Jehovah. And he was buried in the valley in the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor. And no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. And Moshe was 120 years old when he died, and his eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. And the children of Israel wept for Moshe in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of the weeping and the mourning for Moses was ended. And Yehoshua the son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moshe had laid his hands upon him. And the children of Israel hearkened unto him, and did as Jehovah commanded Moshe. And there have not arisen a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom Jehovah knew face to face, and all the signs and the wonders which Jehovah sent him to do in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land, and in all the mighty hand, and in all the great terror which Moshe wrought in the sight of Israel.
Clearly telling us Moshe was an exceptional prophet and has never, Yah said, risen one like unto him since. 40 days and 40 nights. No drink, no eating, spiritual heights that we could not imagine to receive truth and the word to bring unto mankind, beginning with the children of Israel. This is truth. That law was brought to us. And everything in Western society is founded upon this. That's why the Christian church exists, because they bring and connect JC up with David, even though he's not David's seed. We'll get to that later. That's what they've done. They've led us astray. One of the points in the last tape was another slip of error. The judgments for inappropriate behavior is not in Exodus 20, it's in Leviticus 20. Just my mind thinking a million things as I speak to you. And sometimes you have those slips. So we want to correct that as well. And many of you, if you sharp, sometimes in my community, I say something deliberately that's wrong to see if you're going to say amen and hallelujah. Because some people say amen and hallelujah to everything, anything. You're out of your mind. It doesn't go like that. You can't affirm something that is not true and say amen to it. That's why you have to listen before you speak and before you agree. Yivarek Vavakvashah in the book of Joshua about the law not being done away. How important is the law? Joshua, the first chapter 1 through 9 tells us. Would you read that for us, Toda?
Now it came to pass after the death of Moshe, the servant of Jehovah, that Jehovah spoke unto Yehoshua, the son of Nun, Moshe's minister, saying, Moshe, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, to you have I given it, as I spoke unto Moshe. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea, toward the going down of the sun, shall be your border. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moshe, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Be strong and of good courage, for thou shalt cause this people to inherit the land which I swore unto their fathers to give them. Only be strong, very courageous, to observe to do according to all the law which Moshe my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest have good success whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy ways prosperous, and thou shalt have good success. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not affrighted, neither be thou dismayed, for Jehovah thy power is with thee whithersoever thou goest.
You have to be confident in knowing that you have to do the right thing to have the Creator with you. You have to know geography and understand, as I've said before, the Great Sea. If you're an Israelite, you got to know the Great Sea is the Mediterranean Sea. It's the sea on our western border. I remember years ago when I was in Brooklyn, told an Israelite, a Jewish person, I was an Israelite. And the Jewish man asked me, said, well, what body of water is on the western side of Israel, the banks of Israel? You had to know the Mediterranean. He wanted to see, am I just talking about being an Israelite, no have no knowledge of the land, the language, the culture? He want to make a fool out of you. You have to study. Then they becomes the fools when you know the truth, because they're not speaking the truth. Let's go to Psalm, again, 1 through 3. Yivarek, would you do that for us? Todah. Psalm 1, 2, 3. All about the Lord. The whole book is about the Lord. It's never going to be done away. And if you want to be happy, you better look at what he's telling you about the Lord. Happy is the man, it says, Yivarek. Read it.
Happy is the man that had not walked in the counsel of the wicked, nor stood in the way of sinners, nor sat in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of Jehovah, and in his law that he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the streams of water, that bringeth forth its fruit in its season, and whose leaf doth not wither, and in whatsoever he doeth, he shall prosper. Not so the wicked, but they are like the shaft that the wind driveth away. Therefore the wicked shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Jehovah regardeth the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked shall perish.
Yeah, that's it. It's only 6 verses there, Yivarek, Todah Rabbah. And that's what we have to understand, that that's life. You must live a righteous life to prosper, to be healthy, to be healed, to be blessed. You have to do right by everyone. Every test and situation you're in, there's a right and a wrong. You have to be intelligent to know and to do that. Life is based on law. Why are people dying if somebody died for your sins? See, if I was a robber and a bank robber and they took me to jail and I stood before the judge or a murderer, I would say to the judge, Your Honor, may I have a few words? Why are you all trying me when JC died for my sins? That's why I did what I did, because you said that he died and he died for me. And so again, it don't make any sense. People know that the courts are filled with people that commit crimes. But which one is worse, a crime or a sin? A sin against Yah is worse than a sin against society. A crime. These are things that must be understood. That's the highest level of wrong you could do when Yah says you are wrong. That's why the government can't stop it when he takes your life in an automobile, when the pandemic kills you with a plague. The government trying to save your life with a ventilator. But Yah said, nope, you going out of here. I know you're evil. I'm telling you. That's what people have to understand and fear. Let's take a few more. The 19th Psalm, verses 8 to 12, Yivarek, Todah Rabbah. I think you all have the precept. You can be there before we get there. It reads and says, in the 8th verse of the 19th Psalm, Cohen's favorite, he loved this song.
The law of Jehovah is perfect, restoring the soul. The testimony of Jehovah is sure, making wise the simple. The precepts of Jehovah are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of Jehovah is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of Jehovah is clean, enduring forever. The judgment of Jehovah are true, they are righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold. Sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned. In keeping of them, there is great reward. Who can discern errors?
That's great. Again, there's great reward when you do what's right. You're blessed. You have good health. You get long life. All of those things. If you don't, it's still the best thing to do. It's the best guarantee you have to obey the Holy One of Israel. I want to read a prayer for you myself, because this prayer touched my heart and does every time I read it, because I can feel his spirit. And then I'm going to let the readers close out with a few other precepts. I'm reading from the book of Daniel, his prayer. In the 9th chapter of Daniel, in the 3rd verse, it reads on this wise. And I set my face unto Yahweh Elohim, to seek by prayer and supplications with fasting and sackcloth and ashes, like we're going to do in a few hours from now on Yom Kippur, tomorrow evening. And I prayed unto Yah, my power, and made confession and said, O Yahweh, the great and awful power, who keepeth mercy, who keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love thee and keep thy commandments. We have sinned and have dealt iniquitously and have done wickedly and have rebelled and have turned aside from thy commandments and from thine judgment. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets, that spoke in thy name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. Unto thee, Yahweh, O Yahweh, belongeth righteousness, but unto us confusion of face, as at this day, to the men of Yehuda, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, to all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because they dealt treacherously with thee, O Yah, Yahweh. To us belongeth confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. To Yahweh, our power, belongeth compassion and forgiveness. For we have rebelled against him, neither have we hearkened to the voice of Yah, our power, to walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants, the prophets. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, and have turned aside, so as not to hearken to thy voice. And so there have been poured out upon us the curse and the oath that's written in the law of Moses in Deuteronomy 28, the servant of Elohim. For we have sinned against him, and he hath confirmed his word, which he spoke against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil, so that under the whole heaven hath not been done as had been done upon Jerusalem, Israel. As it is written in the law of Moses, Moshe, all this evil is come upon us, yet have we not entreated the favor of Yahweh our power, that we might turn from our iniquities and have discernment in thy truth. And so Yahweh have watched over the evil and brought it upon us. For Yahweh our power is righteous in all his works which he hath done, and we have not hearkened to his voice. And now, O Yah, Yahweh, our power, that has brought thy people forth out of the land of Egypt with a mighty hand, and has gotten thee renowned as at this day. We have sinned, we have done wickedly. O Yahweh, O Yah, according to all thy righteousness. Let thine anger and thy fury, I pray thee, be turned away from thy city, Jerusalem, thy holy mountain, because of our sins and for the iniquities of our fathers. Jerusalem and thy people are become a reproach to all that are round about us. Now, therefore, O our power, Elohim, hearken unto the prayer of thy servant and to his supplications, and cause thy face to shine upon thy sanctuary, thy temple, that is desolate for Yahweh's sake. O my power, Elohim, incline thine ear and hear, open thine eyes and behold our desolation and the city upon which thy name is called. For we do not present our supplications before thee because of our righteousness, but because of thy great compassion. O Yahweh, hear. O Yah, forgive. O Yah, attend and do. Defer not for thine own sake, O my power, because thy name is called upon thy city and thy people. And while Daniel was speaking and praying and confessing his sin and the sin of my people, Israel, and presenting my supplication before Yah, my power, for the holy mountain of my power. Yea, while I was speaking in prayer, the angel Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, approached close to me about the time of the evening offering. And he made me to understand and talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to make thee skillful in understanding. At the beginning of thy supplication, a word went forth, and I am come to declare it. For thou art greatly beloved. Therefore, look into the word and understand the vision. He prayed about, as all the prophets, about what we had done. It didn't change when the New Testament came into existence. That's what's the trouble with this. See, in Christianity, they take the ethical part out of it and put theology there. You got to have ethics, morals, conducts. And in Christianity, it's not taught as law. That's what they have done when they said the law is done away with. So we have to understand what has happened. Don't listen to anything they're telling you when it doesn't align itself with truth, which is the Old Testament. That's our book. It ends there. There was no reason to give you any further books because we went into captivity. You didn't need no prophets then because all the prophets went into captivity. The king went into captivity. I'll give you a king in my anger and take him away in my wrath. Just read about Manasseh. Just read about what happened to all those kings that were wicked. You'll see. It's all in the book. We only had a few righteous ones anyway. You can count them almost on one hand. The righteous kings. That's why we went into captivity. Because it started at the top. The evil came down to everyone else. I want to ask our brother Yaakov to read Malachi, the 3rd chapter, and the 22nd and to the 24th verse. And then I'm going to let Yivarek close it out with a final precept that I was going to read, but I'm going to give him that honor of doing so. I want you to know that Yivarek was born in Guyana. His name is Yivarek Yahu. He's our reader, like those in the Shabbat Yisrael, remember? And I love him, talked him right to his death, Bakbakwa, Ben Yehuda. Ora, I love them. I don't care if I don't see them, I'll never forget them. They produced me, they made me. They were the people that was there when I came. And I'm thanking Yah that they're still alive. I pray for them all the time. I want you to know that that's how it is. We got to pray for each other. Daniel was praying for everybody, even himself, to ask for forgiveness. Do that tomorrow night. Yah has blessed us with mercy, compassion, to see another Yom Kippur. You know how great that is? You could say, I don't know how many Geveret Ora has kept, because she was keeping them before I got there. I mean, these are blessed people to be able to still be alive and see the operations of Yah's hand. Cohane used to say, this is a great time to be alive. And it is. So let's read Malachi, the 3rd chapter, and see if the Lord's done away with. It's not. Listen to it. It says,
Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I command unto him in Horeb for all Israel, even statutes and judgments. Behold, I will send you Eliah the prophet before the coming of the great and terrible day of Jehovah. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the land with utter destruction. Behold, I will send you Eliah the prophet before the coming of the great and terrible day of Jehovah.
so the law. That's what we're going back to. Why would he make that statement if the law is done away with? Why are you looking back to Moses? Why you have to remember him? That's old time stuff. It's done away with. You're out of your mind. Those eternal principles, ethics, values, integrity, laws, moral instructions, virtuous ideals that will never ever leave. And it's ordained and sanctioned by the Holy One of Israel. Before Yivarek close out with Ecclesiastes 12:13-14, put up the definition of sanction, because that was the last word I ended with in my last program. And sanction is a definition that we must know and understand. I think our brothers are pulling that up now. Sanction, the act of recognized authority. That's Yah. Confirming or ratifying an action, the Torah, what you can do and cannot do in behavior. Authorization, authoritative, permission. The Most High is the one who has the authority to give it, the law, and enforce it. Something as a consideration, principle, or influence, which makes a rule of conduct, moral law, etc., binding. That's when Yah made this sanctuary. Nobody can take it away and destroy it but him. He's the highest authority and power. Nobody can go over him. That's like somebody coming in America and saying the Constitution no longer exists. This is it now. You crazy? No, you can't do that with Yah's nation, with his sovereignty. Israel, he's the king of Israel, not David. David's just the one in front of you. You read the Bible, you hear that Yah is the king of Israel. A formal decree. It's law. It's formal. Nobody can do away with it. Definition sanction 6. Usually a conceived measure, and this part of it, as you know in definitions, it don't necessarily fall in line with what we're talking about. It says a for forcing a nation considered to have violated international law to stop the violation. That's what the Creator could tell you. He's sanctioning these things. He'll kill you if you don't do it. He'll give you a broken leg, blind you, kill your children, curse them to the 3rd and 4th generation. You'll wonder why you cursed as a person. What did your father, mother, grandfather, and all them do before you? That's what all of us. Somebody loved you. Somebody prayed for you that got you this blessing. It wasn't us. Maybe it's Rabbi Matthew, Cohane Levi, your grandmother, your grandfather, your great aunt. It's somebody, I'm telling you, because they prayed. God sanctioned this a long time ago. There's no one can take what he established and abolish it. And there's nowhere in scripture to tell you that he did it. Not him. He just said, thus say, Lord, I no more law. So what replaces the law if you don't have law? So that means we can murder, lie, steal, cheat, have sex with anybody you want, be a sodomite, a lesbian, a homosexual, lay with animals. Of course, without law, you have all of that. And with law, you have none of that. That's why law is coming back. And all that foolishness will be dealt with at the appropriate time. Saith the Most High. So Yivarek, for this section, I want to say Toda to all those technicians, people that make this possible, to all of you that would take of your precious time to listen to little old me. I thank you for giving me your precious time and your hearing. I hope that something that I've said help you. Really, I always tell you this. I love you, but I want the people that don't know to hear me. That's what I'm looking at. I want this to go mainstream. I want you to turn on NBC, ABC, Al Jazeera, and hear the same message. If it's not for me, from somebody that knows how to articulate the truth in a righteous manner. And so again, another precept that tells you the law is not done away with. It's in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, verses 13 and 14. And Yevareka Yahu will read it for you. Yaakov was born in the United States of America. Another thing about being an Israelite, you better like to hear an African dialect, a Caribbean dialect, and not feel that they're less than you are. Don't look down your nose on anybody because they speak slightly different or have an accent. You know, to the British, the Americans messed up their English language. They don't like how we speak English. So, I mean, the Spaniards don't like how Puerto Ricans speak it because they speak pure Spanish. And that's how it goes. You have to understand that the world has different people, different minds, different understanding, different environments that produce them. You can't make that an issue of argument, strife, contention, especially now. We need peace, and it has to start with each and every one of us. Love, compassion, generosity, and sharing and helping, and being your brothers and sisters' keeper. That's what the Lord is telling us then. That's what it's telling us now. And that's what it's going to tell us tomorrow and forever. It's never going to change. It ends out with Ecclesiastes 12th chapter, verses 13 and 14, in the 12th chapter.
The end of the matter. The end of the matter. All having been heard. Fear Elohim and keep his commandments. For this is a whole man. For Elohim shall bring every work into the judgment, concerning every hidden thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
The end of the matter.
The end of the matter.
All having been heard.
Fear Elohim and keep his commandments, for this is the whole man.
And this is the whole woman. This is the whole family. This must become the whole society of the community and the nation of Israel, whether in one place, the Holy Land, or whether in captivity. We must fear the Holy One of Israel and keep his law, his commandments, and do the best you can when you can't keep all of them in the place where you might be. Do the best to do the best good and put forth the best righteousness that you possibly can. May the Holy One of Israel bless and keep you, watch over you while we're separated one from another. May he lift up his countenance upon you and grant you peace. Shabbat Shalom, and Kodesh Tov, Sum Tov, Lekim, Be'erev, Asher Ba, Akare, Motse, HaShabbat. Shalom Aleichem, I love you. God bless and be with you all. Todah for giving me your time and attention.
And they should put my name upon the children of Israel, and I bless them. Sing
Famidin tu among Israel so Namidia Mishira wa famidin tu among Israel so Namidia Mishira